This is the Big Fish Cares Podcast. Big Fish Cares Podcast. And here's your host, Benny Fisher.
If you guys want to be fired up and motivated, this is going to be the highest energy podcast that we've ever done in the history of the Big Fish Cares, short 1 year history we got. I got a coach with me today. Coach JC. He's the founder of the Win All Day movement. He's a performance coaching business committed to building winners for life. But it didn't start there. After throwing away his basketball opportunity, hitting rock bottom, over $400K in debt, suicidal, and in the fight for his life to be a father, Coach JC was able to create a new story for his life. He used that pain to fuel his purpose, and what it looked like a mess has become part of his success. It has been said that his story is one of the most inspiring comeback kid stories ever. And I'm super, super stoked to have him on the show today. I just met this guy too, not that long ago. And we're from the same kindred spirit. What is going on, Coach JC?
Yeah, let's go, baby. All day, Benny. I'm so blessed and honored to be here. I'm super stoked. I'm excited, man. I'll say this. We did just meet each other, but I think there's things in life that are called divine appointments, and you cross paths with people at certain times and seasons of life where you just know there's something, there's a connection, and I feel like we had that, bro. I'm just excited to get to learn more about you, do life together, man, and just grow together, and I'm excited to share on your podcast today. I'm just honored to be here, so thanks for having me, brother.
Yeah, this is going to be awesome. Let's just get right into it. Give me the story, man. Tell me where you came from. Tell me all the struggles. What happened to you?
Yeah, no doubt. So I grew up in the great state of New Jersey, man. I was born and raised in New Jersey, raised by a single mom. My dad walked out on us when I was 8 years old. My sister was 18 months older than me. And from a monetary perspective, man, we I don't even use the word poor, but we lacked a lot, man. We suffered a lot. Thank God we had great relatives and family members. But, when I say that, I don't say it lightly. We visited local food pantries every Sunday. That's how we got our groceries to eat for the week. If we got to go to the grocery store, man, it was like going to Disney World. It was an exciting time because we got to pick out our own groceries. But I'll never forget such the defining moments and the embarrassing moments. When we went to a grocery store, Benny, and we had to go time to check out, my mom was going to pull out food stamps while my other friends' parents were pulling out cash or check to pay. And I was always so embarrassed by those moments. We moved a lot. And I'll never forget a defining moment. We were living in a shelter. It's group housing, if you're not familiar with that. And I was in a bunk bed. I was looking down, weeping, looking at my sister crying, and just asking. 8 years old, Benny, and I was asking the question, why? Why us? Why me? Why do we have to go through this pain and suffering? Why can't I have the MJ Michael Jordan sneakers like my friends? And I'll never forget, I didn't know what it was at that time, but it was this thing inside of me of compassion, empathy, and also an anger. I hated to be in pain and suffering. I hated to see my family in pain and suffering. I hated to see people around us be in pain and suffering. And I'll never forget it. 8 years old, I was like, man, I'm going to do this. I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to be the man in the household. I'm going to rescue my mom and my sister from this poverty-stricken life. And so I was going to go make a lot of money, man, and show my dad we didn't need him. And I was going to do it one of two ways, man. Get ready for this. Growing up in Jersey, white boy, I was either going to be a professional rapper. And back in the day when I was growing up, now I'm an old man now, that was Vanilla Ice days, Ice Ice Baby, right? And so
Stop and collaborate.
Yeah. And the rap career didn't work out real well for me, man. But if I wasn't going to be a rapper, I was going to be a professional athlete. And I became really good at basketball. I was a 3-sport athlete in high school, and basketball took me out to Tulsa, Oklahoma back in 1999 to play basketball at a school called Oral Roberts University, ORU. And it was an awesome experience, but freshman year I made one decision that radically changed my life. There was a cute girl on campus. All the athletes were chasing her, and Coach JC won, man, and she got pregnant. And so 19 years old, that was frowned upon. They said, hurry up and get married. We got married. We're divorced in 8 months. And now I found myself in this identity crisis, throwing away my story, all I knew. I was the ticket. I had to make it. I had to play basketball. I was going to rescue my mom and my sister from this poverty-stricken life. And now I'm ended up 19 years old, kid on the way. And I went on to end up over $400,000 in debt over the next about 5 to 8 years, fighting in a custody battle, fighting to be a dad. I ended up $400,000 in debt, depressed, oppressed, suicidal, man. And I told that part of the story because I believe there's people on this podcast right now, and it doesn't matter the level you're at in life, right? But I think we all have a story. right? As men, as women, as human beings, we all create a story, right? What life's going to look like, right? The body we're going to have, the bank account we're going to have, the career, the mission, the calling, the person we're going to marry, the house we're going to live in, right? And what happens when your story doesn't look exactly how you thought it should have looked? And so it took me to a really dark place. And but it was at that moment, man, that I found a few things that radically changed my life. And I was able to flip that story. And now that most painful moment became my purpose and fast track to where we are today. I severed ties with that guy, Jonathan Keneally. I created this coach, JC, and went on to use that most painful moment, which became my purpose to this day. And that's why I'm here with you today.
So when did that shift happen? So because you have a lot of energy. Have you always had the energy? When did the shift happen when you realized the transformation was started to occur?
Yeah, great question, man. And it didn't happen overnight, I'll tell you that. It wasn't a miracle. And people ask me that question all the time, like, where does the energy come from? Like, and so I do show up with a lot of energy. I believe it's the greatest transfer in life is energy. And my energy, yes, I take care of my body. I live a healthy life, but my energy comes from purpose, man. Like, I was given a second chance. I wake up in the morning, here's what I'll tell you, Benny. My brands win all day. I talk about winning. There's too many people that are losing in life. And so I know that same thing at 8 years old in a bunk bed, in a group housing, in a shelter, that became my purpose, to help people win, to stop the pain and suffering. And as human beings, there's so many people just going through life, just alive but not living. Just going through the motions, numb, just existing, sleepwalking through life. And so I discovered my purpose, and that's what allows me to show up with such a high energy and not be led by feelings and emotions, because I know there's people listening right now, and this is a divine appointment, that through our words, that we will change the entire trajectory of their life. And so I tell you that to tell you, it wasn't a miracle. I didn't just wake up one day I went from $400,000 in debt, suicidal, down and out, depressed, to winning, right? And I think a lot of times people don't understand that. You see somebody winning, you see somebody having success, and you're like, man, they're just have it all. People go through a lot. And so for me, there was two decisions I made that radically changed my life. And the first decision is I had a friend at that lowest time of my life, and he said, man, you need to enroll in a Bible school. And I'm like, what? I was... Listen to me, Benny. I'm laying my head in a 600 square foot apartment, no furniture, down and out, suicidal, depressed. Every time I would lay my head on that carpet at night, I would pray, God, please don't wake me up. And he's telling me, you got to enroll in a Bible school. And I'm like, I don't even want to get up. How am I going to go to a Bible school? And so I enrolled in this Bible school. And at the same time I enrolled in this Bible school, I got a hold of Tony Robbins and personal development. I enrolled in this Bible school, and I'm sitting there, and I couldn't tell you a lot of stuff I learned to this day. I was so consumed with the pressure and noise of life. But I remember this one class where the professor was talking about renewing the mind. He was talking about transformation in the mind and how you could create this whole new story, and every action originates in the mind. And he threw out this verse from the Bible, Romans 12:2. Do not be conformed to the things of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And so I started to take that, and I started to watch these people at Bible school pray all day, read the Bible, but do nothing with it. And I was like, wait a second. This professor's testing me, telling me these are principles, these are promises, that I could actually implement these and they'll work in my life. I was desperate. So I started testing biblical principles and implementing them into my life. I started renewing my mind. I started to understand that now it's a formula and a playbook I created called Creating a Winning Mindset. But I started to implement these biblical principles. At the same time, I got a hold of Tony Robbins' personal development. I looked in the mirror and started to ask myself different questions, and I created an entire new story for my life. I'll never forget it. There was in a book, the meaning of anything in life only has the meaning you choose to give it. I gave the entire situation a new meaning. I severed ties. I killed this guy, Jonathan Keneally. I hated who he was, looked in the mirror with guilt and shame, and I created this new person, Coach JC. And then I started to create a new vision. I started creating, understand what my purpose was. I started to become the person I needed to become. And that's when everything changed, bro.
Before you got introduced to Bible college, and did you guys have any background in Christianity, religion, going to church? Tell me about growing up as a kid. Did you have any of that, or was this all brand new?
Yeah, growing up, I'm Italian. I grew up in a deep Italian family from Jersey, man, predominantly Catholic. When my parents got divorced, my mom became a Christian. It was non-denominational. But yes, I grew up going to church. I understood what the Bible was. I understood what church was, but I never really truly had a relationship. I knew what religion was. I knew I went because my mom said I had to go. I went to youth groups. I did all that stuff, right? I ended up at Oral Roberts University because the guy, Oral Roberts, ORU, he was actually a mentor to my pastor, and he came out, and then all of a sudden he has Division I university basketball, and they're pretty good at basketball, and so I'm like, I'm never going to go to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and so, but I ended up there, but yeah, man, it was, I understood everything that was going on, and I understood the Bible, and I understood, like, God, and I understood, like, the theory of it. But it wasn't until I hit rock bottom that I understood what a relationship is, and I surrendered. And I said, I can't do it in my will any longer. And so, yeah, we grew up that way, brother.
Do you think, we hear about this all the time, stories like yours, stories like mine, where people hit rock bottom to have to figure out then how to transform, right? Do you think that you have to, if people are out there listening, do you have to hit rock bottom to transform? Do you ever see stories where people are like, don't need to go all the way to the bottom to like go to the top?
I honestly don't believe that. I don't think you have to hit rock bottom, right? I think for me it took that, but I don't think you need to hit rock bottom to transform. I think most people are not where they want to be in life because they don't understand the simple thing of purpose. When you start, for me, hitting rock bottom, I was given a second chance, and it allowed me to come to a realization that my life is valuable. It allowed me to go through a process to understand my identity is not in things. My identity is not in basketball. It's not in my past mistakes. It allowed me to create a vision for my life. It allowed me to do some hard work that most people aren't willing to do. When life's too comfortable, we get complacent, and I believe that's when it costs us our calling. And so I challenge men all the time and people all the time. Like, if you want to win, if you want to live a life of winning, like true fulfillment, like you want to win in relationships and business and have purpose and create a next level energy and have the health in your body and have a deeper faith in God and discover and build and create and have freedom, like you've got to do the work. And so for me, I don't think you have to hit rock bottom to transform, right? But I also think that you have to do the work. And when things are too comfortable, you get complacent. And when things get complacent, you don't do the work, right? And so I think a lot of times it's those do or die moments back against the wall, right? Sense of urgency where people are forced to do the work. And that's what it took for me.
How do you think, like, when you're helping people, right? Because I can obviously tell that, like, just even when you're talking to me right now, like, I feel like your energy is, because of your purpose, right? It just oozes out of you, right? And then I think people are attracted to that, obviously. And then they're trying to figure out, like, wow, how does he do it? What's the process? I've been to a Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power. I went there last year. I was always afraid to go to a Tony Robbins event because I knew that man knew he could put you through the process, right? And I was actually almost afraid. I was always afraid to go because I was like, man, I'm gonna have to do the work, man. Like, and the work is hard, right? Because, like, that dude don't play. Like, when you go to, it was a 4-day event, and he goes all day, day one, and all day, day three. Have you ever been to one? You've been to UPW? All right.
Oh yeah, bro. I've been all
so, like,
events.
What was that process like for you back in? I'm assuming that was this your early 20s that you got introduced to Tony Robbins and started started learning. Like, was it through an event? Was it just reading books? Was it going to seminars? Talk to me about the process.
Yeah, for me, I'm glad you asked that. That's a great question. So for me, as I'm going through this process and my situation's getting worse, but I'm getting better, I started to just look in the mirror and ask different questions. And as I'm asking these questions to myself, questions like, who do you want to really be? Who did God create you to be? Like, this isn't who you are. Maybe it wasn't basketball. Maybe that wasn't the calling for your life. And so I started to think about when I was an athlete and what I did to be successful as an athlete. And now I'm working in the strength and conditioning department. My mentors, I'll tell you. So as I'm going through this process and I started to implement these things, everything started to change. I went on to become the youngest strength coach in the nation. So now I'm 23 years old and I'm training athletes. And I have a mentor that's a strength and conditioning coach, right? And I started to realize, hold on a second, I'm working with these athletes. What do all successful athletes have? What did I have as an athlete? And I realized there's 3 things. There's a coach, a playbook, and a team. And there's a lot of people listening right now that you might be stuck in life or you want to get to that next level, but you're missing one of these three things or two or maybe all three. And so I was at that moment, do or die, desperation. And I realized to be a successful athlete, you have coaches, mentors. And so I went and sought out the mentors and the coaches that I admired. People that I said, I want to be like them. I want to look like that fitness-wise. I want to feel like that, mentally and emotionally. Tony Robbins, I want to be a speaker one day. I'm going to flip this story, right? I went and sought out T.D. Jakes. I went and looked at who's winning spiritually, and I started to position myself and say, okay, I'm going to have these guys as mentors and coach me. It doesn't mean they were all in my life at that moment, but I would absorb and consume everything I could that they were giving me virtually. And then I realized I'm getting the playbook. This is the fast track. This is the code. Like, as an athlete, you don't just go into a game and just run audibles all day long. You have X's and O's. And so a lot of times in life, we just go through life and whatever happens, happens. We're led by feelings. And so I started to take what they were sharing with me and I started to create a playbook, that with the Bible, and I started to build this playbook, how I was going to run my life to win. And then I started to find people and put myself on a winning team. We know the power of that, man. Like, your environment makes or breaks you. And so as I did that, I had these coaches virtually. I created this playbook, right? And then I started to be around people that were winning at a different level than me. And I started to create a different vision. I started to understand deeper purpose. I started to become a different person. I started to create the winning mindset. I started to take different actions that led to different habits. And my entire life started to change as I ran this playbook, being around. Now I'll say this. Eventually I got to meet Tony Robbins, right? Eventually I got to meet T.D. Jakes. Eventually I had these people mentor and coach me in person. And that was humbling. And I was grateful for it. But I didn't wait on them. No one was coming to save me. I just read, I studied, I got the CDs back in the day, I looked up YouTube, and I just absorbed and took in whatever I could because I was so desperate. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Say that again for the people in the back of the room about no one's coming to save you.
Yeah, no, I realized that.
Say it louder. I want to hear that. I want to hear that again. Tell everybody again.
Yeah, for real though, no one's coming to save you. I think we are the creator of our reality. And if things are going to change, you have to change. And I think there's a lot of people that are waiting for somebody to come in and rescue them. And I was there. I was do or die. And if you're in that moment right now, you got to make a decision that I can't play victim any longer. I can't blame and complain any longer. I can't talk about what's wrong any longer. I am the solution. I am the creator of my reality, and no one is coming to save me. And that's taking full responsibility. It's very hard because then you're responsible to fix it. But I believe that's when you absolutely can change your life in any area of your life. In your health, your body, your business, your money, your marriage. So many times it's so easy to deflect, to blame, to complain, to play that victim mentality, and it doesn't serve you. When you take responsibility, you win.
Tell me, for the people that are watching you, we were doing this on YouTube. They're listening to you right now on Apple, Spotify. They're like, man, this guy was just born with a gift of just inspiration. This guy's got a dominant personality. He knows how to win. Clearly, before the transformation, I mean, you figured it out. What do you say to the people out there that are listening? They're saying, "Well, I'm passive. I'm more of a supporter. I'm more of a watch and see kind of person. I don't have a high D. I'm not a dominant person." What do you say to those people?
Yeah, here's what I say. You can be whoever you want to be, right? It's as simple as that. You make the decision, right? And actually, I'm an introvert, bro. Naturally, on all the tests and all the personality tests, I'm an introvert. And so the first thing I would say to that person is, yeah, 100%. Yeah, and so on all these personality tests, I make a decision, showman time, pull the curtain back, it's game time, right? And so I did that by putting myself in situations. And so that person, I would say this, the first question you got to ask yourself is, what does winning look like to you? So many people, Benny, they look at other people winning and they say, well, it's good for them, I can never have that. Or they dream about winning, right? And I would say, that's vision. I'm talking about vision. What is winning for you? The reason that I have this energy, the reason I can show up the way I am is because I have a vision. I have clarity. I know where I'm going. I know my calling. I know my purpose. I know what I'm after, right? And so Helen Keller said it best. What's worse than being born blind is being born with your sight and no vision. And so the first thing I would challenge the person that is saying that today is, what is winning look like for you? This is your life. You get to create it. But if you don't know what you want, you'll never get it. And so the first question you got to ask yourself is, what am I seeing on a daily basis? Right? What are you seeing? If you don't know what you're seeing, what you look for, you will find. And so I was constantly looking at the problem. I was constantly seeing what was in front of me in the natural. I was constantly moved by the current situation that I was so stuck. And there's people listening and watching right now that the reason that you might be stuck or not getting the next level is you're so consumed with the current situation that you can't see beyond that. You got to start to create something that you've never seen before. You got to start to see who you can be that you've never been. You got to start to be able to go where you can go that you've never gone. You got to start to see what you can do that you've never done. And without vision, people perish. A vision brings purpose. It brings hope. It brings direction. It brings faith. And so if you're kind of just going through life sleepwalking right now, hey, that's good for Coach JC, that's good for Benny, you've got to create a stronger vision, babe. You got to start to see bigger. You got to start to dream again. And I challenge guys all the time, hey, what are you dreaming about? What are you most excited about? And they're like, man, if you can't answer that right away within 10 seconds, then it tells me you're not dreaming. You got to reawaken those dreams. You got to start to see bigger again. Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes perfect sense to me because, yeah, like I've always had, I personally, I've always thought about the future. I always thought, why do we have to stay in this current state? You know, I have a similar story, not quite as maybe as a poor of a childhood, but thinking like my mom and dad were like always, there's never enough money. The people at work, work sucked, all the time, you know what I mean? But they would go and show up and they would keep doing it over and over again. And I kept thinking like, hey, why do they keep just doing it over? Why do they, if it sucks so bad, like why?
Yeah.
And so like that inspired me to like then create, like I don't think I was born a visionary. Yeah. I think that because of my life circumstances and just looking at the world and the way the people are, that I had to dream a little bit. But how do you help people dream that are living in a depressed, broken, awful world they're surrounded by just decay? How do you get them out of that? How do you get them to see the light?
Well, here's the deal. I'm not going to get you to do anything, right? You're going to have to do the work. And I tell people that all the time. I can help you. I can give you the tools. But again, I'll go back to the 3 things I mentioned earlier. Number 1, you've got to get mentors and coaches. Number 2, you got to start to run the different plays. So many times we are conditioned, right, in our current environment looks the way that our feelings are, right? Most people act based off of feelings. And when you can flip the script and say, I'm no longer going to be an emotionally driven person and be led by feelings, but I'm going to act accordingly to something, your life can change. So if you're a drifter, like Napoleon Hill talks about, in a book, like if you're a drifter, it tells me you don't have vision, you don't have purpose. Right? Tony Robbins said this, I'll never forget reading it. The greatest force in life is a soul on fire, a life on purpose. Right? So I would ask you to stir up a stronger why. Like, why do you exist? Why do you do what you do? And for me at that moment, I had no idea. My purpose became living and not dying. My purpose became building the best version of Coach JC. And if somebody right now is struggling in that area, that's where I tell them to start. Right? Get in a different environment. Start to create different actions that lead to different habits. And don't focus on the outcome. Right? So many times we stay so focused on the outcome that it causes more pressure and noise. It causes more anxiety. Oh my gosh, I got to change my financial situation. I got to make this money. Oh my gosh, my marriage has got to... I stopped focusing on the outcome. I started to focus on who do I need to become. And as I started to run these plays to become this multi-dimensional, not one-dimensional, I started to train like an athlete. I started to train my mindset, my emotions, my physical body. I started training my relationships. I started to train, my productivity, and all these different areas. And I started to train myself to not act according to feelings, but act based off of vision. This is what I want. I know what I want. I'm not going to focus on it again, but I'm going to become the person I need to become. Stop focusing on outcome. Start focusing on who you can become. And that's when I started to become a better person. And then I started to create more clarity. And I started to see different. As I started to see different, the pressure and noise was lessened. Then I started to discover, oh man, maybe this is my purpose. You need a strong purpose to win, Benny. And if you don't have a strong purpose, why do you get up? Why do you show up? And there's a lot of people just going through the motions. A strong purpose is what allowed me to make what was in front of me, custody of my daughter, getting out of $400,000 debt, and all this bigger and greater than what was behind me. It allowed me to keep getting up through the adversity and the obstacles and the storms and the season of life that looked horrible. It allowed me to take these desires and this vision that I believe God put on my heart and say, okay, I want that greater than I want the excuse at the moment or how I feel at the moment. So I would tell that guy right now, like, you got to have a strong vision. You gotta become the best version of you. Where in your life right now have you got complacent? Where in your life can you say, I'm not the best version of me? become the best version of you in that area, and watch things start to change. And the power was not like I just prayed all day. Spiritual was one part. It wasn't I worked out all day. It was I combined these 5 different areas, and I stacked wins in all these areas, and all of a sudden compounding interest worked for me. And that was the power, combining all these things. And all of a sudden I look back in a year and I'm like, holy crap, I got full custody of my daughter. I became the youngest strength coach in the nation. Oh, wait a second. 2 years later, I wrote my first book, second book, third book, fourth book. Oh my gosh, now I'm speaking on some of the largest stages. Now I got my third company. And all of a sudden life started to look totally different when I started to become the person I needed to become. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think that, it's important for us to keep talking about this because I feel like for every one of us, there's like 55,000 naysayers and people not talking. And I'm on a mission to help inspire more people to create change in their life. I know that once you take that first initial step of transformation and you actually can like look back and like see the struggle, see the process, see what winning looks like. And then when, again, it's inevitable that struggle is going to come again, right? A lot of times I get in this trap of like always talking about all the good stuff, right? And I want to start telling people that like, even when you feel like you're getting on the mountaintop, there's still people that you're going to get knocked down, right? But when you get knocked down, you now know the process on how to get back up and keep going. And it almost just gets easy. I mean, I don't say it's easier, but you can just keep repeating the stuff so you can get yourself out faster, right? Talk about some struggles that you had after you made the breakthroughs. Talk about some of that stuff that where you went down a little bit and then you got yourself back up again.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Like still to this day, like there's still struggles in life, right? And I think the difference is I just have processes and systems that I was able to put in place. Bro, I fought an 8-year custody battle, over $400,000 in debt in 2 different states, 2 full 7-day trials. Like, it looked impossible, and I got full custody. The ups and downs, the times I wanted to give up, like there were so many of those times. And so I tell people all the time, like to me, faith is such a powerful thing. And it's not a religious thing. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about the faith in God. To me, the greatest belief you could have is a belief in God. The second greatest belief you could have is a belief in you. And I think so many times we're our worst enemy, right? Mm-hmm. Really, I started to look and say, it's you versus you, Coach JC. All right, are you going to win or lose today? Right? It's not the competition in the business. It's you versus you, right? You're your greatest opponent. And that's why I talk to athletes. I'm training athletes like, stop looking at the guy you're stepping on the basketball court or the football field. That's not even your greatest opposition. You are. And so the number one enemy of success is self-doubt. And so many times we doubt ourselves. We live a life of fear, and I just learned how to suffocate that. So when the tough times come, when the adversity comes, when the obstacles come, I just do a better job of not staying there, right, in that emotional state, right? And so low self-esteem leads to low self-image, right? Low self-esteem, how I view me. If I view myself in a negative way, then self-image is how I believe the world views me. So now I believe people view me that way, so I pull back, I retreat, I hide. Every single day, you get to choose what you're going to believe about you. The life you live is going to come down to what you believe it can be, right? So to choose to believe that I started to choose to believe what the Word of God says about me. I started to take on this new identity, and I started to remind myself of who I was every single day, and I started to understand that you create faith. Faith is not a feeling, and so I started to create faith. And as I started to create faith by what I was speaking and what I was hearing, my entire life changed. And so I just created systems and processes in place that when the adversity would hit, and it still hits, I just have a system and a process so I don't stay there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. Let's talk about how important it is to create then your own environment, right? We talk a lot about, the transformational process, right? But for me in my life, I've noticed just as much as that has to happen, you then have to create the environment around you with people, right? And get around people that are going to be able to not just, put head trash inside of you and that are going to build you up. Talk about how to get around 5 more better people instead of like the 5 people that you're hanging out with now. How do you do that?
Yeah, great question, man. And so the first environment you need to create is with you internally. And so I would say the first thing that you need to look at doing, Benny, before you even go search out and do anything with anybody else, is figure out, what am I listening to? What am I watching? What am I meditating on every single day? What am I feeding my internal being? right? That's most important. And then number 2 is, okay, how do I put myself in winning environments? And here's the deal. Like, people overcomplicate this, especially the world we live in now. Eventually, I went and joined masterminds and high-level groups. But you know what I did initially? I started to go and create my own groups. I started to go and find people that I wanted to do life with, that I think were a little above me, and I started to create my own little masterminds. And so, like, don't underestimate, we have the whole internet, and I think people get overwhelmed with, I see all these masterminds all over, and I have to pay a lot of money. Yeah, sometimes you have to pay to play and put yourself in a room, but what about your local church? What about your local gym? So I look at the areas of your life where you want to elevate in, where you want to win in, where you want to improve in, and go find winning environments and place yourself in those environments. So if you want to grow stronger with God and grow stronger with your faith, go find a faith-based church and get involved. If you want to change your fitness and look and feel and perform better, go find a great gym and get around people that are winning in that area. Mentally, emotionally, spiritually, in any area, and insert yourself into those areas. Eventually, I started to realize I'm going to build my own. And I started to bring people along with me. And then I started to go out and seek, like, go to Tony Robbins events and pay for these other things. But in the beginning, I just started to find local things right where I was, right, and put myself in those environments. And environment's crucial, bro. It's absolutely crucial. There's a lot of people listening right now. They're not even the problem. Their environment is. It's the people that they've hired. It's the people they're around. It's the environment that they have chosen to create and allow. And until you smash that environment, until you create a new environment, until you set boundaries in that environment, the only thing holding you back right now is your environment, the people you're around. And so that's a big, hard decision for a lot of people. I've dealt with a lot of people where it's been relatives and it's been people close to me where I had to love them from a distance, man. And I had to love them from a distance because it was sabotaging my results. And so environment's everything.
What do you say to people that, you know, their family beats them down, you know, they're at a terrible job, right? Like, it just seems like everything around them is bad, right? And then they hear this message, they get all fired up, right? They're pumped up right now. They're listening, like, yeah, I want that. Yeah, I want that. As soon as this podcast is over, oh yeah, their family's calling them, complaining, negativity, right? How do you start to get that shift? How do you create new boundaries, healthy boundaries? How do you start to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question. And here's what I'd say to that person. Like, first of all, good. Like, the fact that you're being stretched, like the perspective of life that everything, we've all heard this before, life doesn't happen to you, it happens for you, right? And so the meaning of anything in life only has the meaning you choose to give it, right? I remember reading that quote, the meaning of anything in life only has the meaning you choose to give it. And so what you look for, you're going to find. And so perspective's everything. The only thing keeping you right now, anybody listening, from being who you feel you want to be is the story that you keep telling yourself of why you can't be that, right? The only thing keeping a person from what they want to have, right, in life and the life they want to live, the money they want to make, the business they want to have, is the story that they keep telling themselves of why they can't have that. It's you versus you. And so like, I'm just telling you what I did is I didn't care who was around me any longer. I didn't care what naysayers were saying. It didn't matter what the critics I hear. I just made a decision to have formulas in place and systems in place and run the playbook over and over and over again, where eventually I just suffocated the negativity. Every single day. Not when I felt like it. Every single day you're in a battle for things and people and environments to distract and steal your attention. And I just put these systems in place to stay focused every single day, to train my mindset every day, to go into, just like Tony Robbins, go into the day with an emotional state, right? Train my body every day. So I have these systems in place where I could walk in any environment anytime and it doesn't affect me, right? I'm not going to be shifted and changed by an environment because I'm talking about identity. I know who I am. So the environment, when I walk in the environment, I expect the environment to change, and I'm going to bring the environment to my level because that's who I am. And so you got to make a decision to not be led by feelings and emotions any longer. You got to stay focused on a playbook. What plays are you running? When you run enough plays and you get mentally, this is the problem though, Benny. A lot of people don't understand the importance of mental conditioning, right? Very few people spend time conditioning their mindset, becoming mentally strong, mentally tough, mentally resilient. So many people spend very little time. They don't understand the power of emotional resilience and train. Just like you train your body, you train your mindset and emotions. And most people spend 5% on those things, if any, and that drives 90% of our lives. Every action originates here. And that's why you got to have a playbook to condition yourself to be so strong mentally, mental conditioning, mental performance, right? And also emotionally, where you can walk into any environment, anytime and be successful and win. And so I'd say to that person, like, have more plays that you run that suffocates the noise and negativity. And I'll tell you what happens that's really cool. Eventually you run the plays and you have so much positivity, you have so much winning that the losers start to come up and you raise the standard, and all of a sudden you look back with some pride and excitement saying, whoa, my enthusiasm, me running the plays, I raised the whole standard of my household. I raised the whole standard of the culture in the environment of my workplace. And I've done that before, and that's what's cool, but you can't be moved by the current situation in the environment. You got to run your plays. You got to be who you were called to be.
That's one of the biggest things that I took away from my 4 days with Tony Robbins was the ability to change your physical state in an instant, right? Make a move, right? Like something bad can happen. Bad stuff's going to happen. Bad stuff's going to happen to Coach JC. It's how we respond to it, right? To go from like one meeting where it's like, you know, the worst meeting ever. Hey, we got to show up for another meeting the next hour. Well, I can't. I mean, I can either choose to take that with me, or I can snap out of it, right? And get super excited, bring the energy. And you're right. I think like people like want to know how to get there, and it's really that simple, right? Like make a move, change your physical state, because once you change your physical state, right, and your energy levels, then everything else can start to shift, right?
Yeah, it's work though, right? It's work. And so we could talk about mindset all day long. We could talk about all the emotions all day long, but we know that, faith without works is dead, right? And so you got to stack wins. And a lot of people don't have the discipline, the consistency. A lot of people don't have the playbook. They don't know what to do. And so I ask myself this question all the time, Benny. Are my daily actions lining up with what I say I want? Based off of the vision, based off of my vision, what I'm after, based off of my purpose, my why, and who I know I am, my values. See, most people can't commit because they don't know what to commit to. Right? And so if you don't know what to commit to right now, you've got to go back and see, what do I value? What's important to me? And so when you know what you value and who you are, then you know what to commit to, right? And so I created the 10 Commandments. I created core values for my life, and that was part of my playbook. And so I ask myself every single day, am I showing up Coach JC? Do my daily actions line up with what I say I want? And every day when you lay your head on the pillow, you should be able to ask yourself that question. Did I win today? Not was I good, not did I survive, not that I did not, no. Was I the best version of me today, right? And so without dedication and commitment and some self-accountability, and it takes action, right? It's the law of winning. You got to, repetition is so powerful. Compounding interest is so powerful. Are you running the same plays every single day to get the result you want? You can't do it when you feel like it. You can't do it when it's comfortable. Mm-hmm. You can't just pray when it hits the fan, right? Are you running the plays? Are you taking action and running the plays to get you to, are your actions bringing you closer to your vision and your goal and what you say you want?
That's so good. That is so good. Listen to that. It really puts it in perspective. And I think if people can figure out their process for that, and once they get that foundation set, it's the recipe for a winning life, right? And I love I love to win all day. I mean, you put it out there, and I know it's not for everybody else; it's for you. I can tell, like you've created a system that you need, and everybody else gets the benefit from. Thank God. But I know why you put winning everywhere. You know what I mean? I know why you bring that, because that's what's driving you. It keeps that purpose. It's right in front of you. You've surrounded yourself in a room with win all day, Coach JC. I got to do this. I got purpose. Tell me what's your main sources? What are your main businesses? What are you doing right now? How do you help people?
Yeah.
People listening?
Yeah. Hey, and what you said, man, real quick is powerful, right? Because I think the reason that I'm able to help people is because I don't coach on something I haven't done. Like what you said, there's a lot of times I put videos out, bro, and that video could be powerful because that's what I'm dealing with, right? That's what I'm going through. That's the work I'm doing, right? And so everything that I coach on, and the playbook and the coaching and everything, the app and the portals, everything's this is what I did. That's all I know. I can't tell you what I didn't do. It's not theory. It's not a good idea. This is what I did. And if you do this, man, hopefully you'll get the same result I did. It worked for me. And so we've been blessed to do some cool things, and it just evolved. It started with fitness. I was the youngest strength coach in the nation, and then that grew to a fitness brand. And so we have Win All Day, the main brand. That's the movement. We have the Win All Day Fitness division to Win All Day Strength and Fitness. And so we coach people to create body transformations. We have an amazing team that does that. And that's one of the 5 pillars that we coach on. It's a very important part, right? And then the second part of the business is it's personal development, right? And so we have an app, we have an online curriculum, an online coaching program, and we have a playbook where I go into organizations and I build people, and my team does. So we work with MBA teams, we work with organizations of all sizes, but that's the personal development. It's people development, right? And that's my books and speaking and all that fun stuff and coaching. And then the last part we have, which is super cool, is we have the Win All Day Personal Branding Academy, right? Where people say, well, Coach JC, how did you do what you did? How do you do what you love and make money doing it? How did you take that story, like your mess, and flip it and make it your message? And so years ago, I was like, man, people are asking that question more than anything. Let me show you. And so we combine the personal development with personal branding, and we show people how to build their purpose-driven, highly profitable personal brand businesses. So basically, you're going to tap in to a $100 billion industry, which is the information knowledge-based industry. We show you how to become a coach, a life coach. We show you how to do the podcast, write the book. How do I build a personal brand to get my message to the world? Take my story, my skills, my knowledge, what I'm passionate about, I love, based with my purpose and my calling, and how do I make that a business? There's a lot of people that they just are stuck in life because they hate what they do, right? So why not do what you love and make money doing it? If your motive is pure, why not make your calling your business? Why not go and impact the world and change the world? I believe everybody has something very unique in a story and has something to give the world. We just teach them how to package it and get it to the world. But the thing we do uniquely is we don't just build a business, we build a business person. So everybody that goes through the programs, you're going to personally develop, you're going to build you as we build a coaching business as well, which is super unique and powerful.
That's so cool. So you do the health and wellness, you do the personal development, you do the personal branding, and the is there anything else?
Man, we run an amazing nonprofit called Fit First Responders. It was our way to give back. I had an interaction with a police officer that radically changed my life, possibly saved my life when I was at my low point. And so in 2015, we started Fit First Responders, Fit for Duty, Fit for Life. And so we take the same exact thing I just told you, Win All Day, and we've done it in the first responder world and with our veterans. And so now we're responsible. It's the health and wellness and personal development, Fit for Duty, Fit for Life, for police, for fire, for medics, and our veterans. And we go into the agencies. We serve over 178 different agencies, 4,000 first responders, in providing them the tools to not just win on the job, but win in life. There's a lot going on with them that we could talk about all day. They're our heroes. They're what keep our streets safe. And so it's our way to give back. And so that's a nonprofit side. It's a humbling part of what we do.
That's so interesting. And I know we talked about it before the show. You know, we're taping this the day after I actually got to meet Shaquille O'Neal and ask him some questions. And my main question for him was, he was very philanthropic, right? And I asked him, I said, like, as a business owner, like, how do you decide, like, you know, how to create, you know, philanthropy through your business, right? And how much to give back and how to pick this. And he told me a story about when he was a kid, about something with his dad, and they saw somebody that was hungry, right? And, like, you know, that really made an impact on him, right? So now he tries to feed people, right? Tony Robbins, big on feeding people. Your story, where I'm assuming a police officer helped you, is that what happened?
Bro, I'll tell you Cliff Note version really quick. I'm fighting to be a dad. I'm in Oklahoma, right? My daughter's in Minnesota, 12-hour drive every other weekend for 4 years. I'm driving from Tulsa to Minnesota. I'm leaving 5 a.m. I'm the strength coach at 23 years old. I'm leaving 5 a.m., driving 12 hours, getting up to Minnesota at 5:30 p.m., picking her up at a local Walmart, and then having her till 1, they call it parenting time, having her till 1 p.m. on Sunday, and then I'm driving back, getting back 1 a.m. and getting up to be a strength coach. I did that every other weekend for 4 years. But one in particular weekend, I drove up there, got to the Walmart. I just remember it like it was yesterday, bro. No money in my bank account. I'm in my little Nissan Sentra. I didn't know how I'm going to even make it up there, what hotel I'm going to stay in. I had no money. And I drive up there. I get to the Walmart, excited to see my daughter. It was everything to me, man. It was just to be a dad was my purpose. And I get there, and they don't show up with my daughter. And I remember just being devastated, just a really dark place. It was that season of life where I'm just questioning, why am I even doing this? And so I get back in the little Nissan Sentra. I'm like, what do I do? And I call my attorney, and my attorney says, I'm like, what do I do? I'm desperate, right? And he says, I can't do anything for you. You owe me $700. And so I didn't know what to do. I just started driving back to Tulsa, man. I'm driving back to Tulsa, going through the dark roads, country roads of Iowa. It's late at night, early in the morning, and it's dark. There's nobody on the road, bro. Like you don't see anything. You see a deer occasionally. That's it. And I remember I'm just driving. I'm going over 100 miles an hour, Benny, and I'm just swerving off the side of the road. I'm weeping. I'm just saying, maybe your daughter's better without you. Maybe she doesn't need you. And I'm thinking about taking my life. And all of a sudden, I hear sirens. And I get pulled over, and this police officer walks up to my window and knocks on the window, and this is the first thing out of his mouth. He goes, "What are you doing, son? Are you trying to kill yourself?" And I said, "That would be nice right now." And this police officer took the time, bro, to hear me. I mean, he could have impounded my car, could have arrested me. I'm going over 100 miles an hour acting like crazy. And after he heard my story, desperate, just down and out, he looks at me and he says this that radically changed the game for me. He said, "I don't know you. You don't know me, but I can tell you this. You're going to go on to do amazing things. And everything you're going through right now is going to be a part of that. And everything you're going through, it has to happen. It all had to happen." And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? I remember getting angry. I'm like, this dude has no idea. I don't even know if I have enough gas to get back to Tulsa. And he said, "Did you hear what I said? Everything you're going through right now had to happen." And he goes, "I'm not going to give you a ticket, but please drive back to Tulsa safe." I'm driving back to Tulsa. He followed me for a few miles. I remember that role playing through my mind the whole way home. It had to happen. What does that mean, it had to happen? The next day, I get up to be a strength coach. I come home. I'm laying in the carpet in a 600 square foot apartment, no furniture, down and out, and I pick up the Tony Robbins book, and it says this: "The meaning of anything in life only has the meaning you choose to give it." What? The meaning of anything in life only has a meaning you choose to give it. The night before, this police officer says to me, it had to happen, and I shifted my perspective. I started to say, what if this really had to happen? What if this was really part of my story? What if this was really to serve me? And that became my mantra. People started to not know what happened. They thought I lost my mind. I went crazy. Somebody wanted to check me in a psych ward because they would see me after that, and they'd say, "Oh my gosh, we're so sorry." We were going, "Whoa!" I'd say, "Don't be sorry for me. It all had to happen." And they're like, "Oh my God, JC's going crazy." But that police officer shifted everything for me, not only possibly saved my life by pulling me over, but that word shifted everything. My entire perspective changed, and I started to view the entire situation different, which changed my life. You know what's crazy? I went and tried to find that police officer so many times. I don't even know. My mom says he was an angel. If you believe in that, you believe in that. If you don't, you don't. But that is why when I realized and started to understand that I have friends that were police officers, and most of them, divorce is at an all-time high, suicide's at an all-time high, obesity is at an all-time high. Many of them are burnt out on their purpose and their calling. What if that police officer didn't take the time to hear me out? Maybe I wouldn't be here today. And so then it became my purpose to help other police officers win in life and cut down on the pandemic and the epidemic that they're going through. There's a lot of stuff that people don't know that police officers see, and they don't know how to cope, and they turn to other things. We are helping them not be a statistic, all because of that story, bro.
Wow, man, that's purpose. I mean, that is taking one little micro moment of your life and poof, lighting it on fire, man, for like greatness. And I feel like I know you. I can already tell. I bet you when you get up in front of police officers and you tell that story, it probably shifts their mindset and it gets them back to the reason why they probably wanted to be a cop in the first place, is to help people. And I feel like we need more Coach JCs out there working with the police, man. Like that's wow, that's so good, man. You got me fired up. I'm ready to go win all day, baby.
All day, so baby, good. All day,
so,
man.
Speaking of cops, we just got back from the Transform Conference. By the way, what did you think of the Transform Conference?
I love it, man. That's my guy. I think they did a great job.
I'm assuming the whole Oral Roberts is how you met Ryan. I don't know like you and Ryan's story at all, but now I'm putting the pieces together. I'm thinking like, all right, you're a little older. And then you probably were down there coaching. He was a baseball player. You probably you probably made the kid work out, and he probably was. Yeah. What can you tell us about young Ryan Groff, baseball, trying to be a superstar?
Bro, honestly, he's one of the hardest workers I ever had. Right. And he was driven. I remember a little about his story and, his mom and the hardships he went through. He had a purpose to be successful. Right. He went through some adversity, But while I was at the university figuring out, what was he going to do? Was he going to play? Was he not going to play? And I'll never forget it because we've had some deep conversations back in the day. I remember him in the office, in the strength and conditioning room, and he had purpose. He was driven by something bigger than just playing basketball or playing baseball. And so, you build those bonds with certain athletes, and there's quite a few of them that, you impact in them a bigger way than just baseball. And it's become a friendship and a relationship, right? Where now they look and they're like, man, that impacted me for life. And so Ryan's one of those guys that, we had some deep conversations. We had great conversations. And I always respect his work ethic. He was always like the guy that a coach would just admire, right? Coachable, teammate, always wanted to perform for you and make you happy. And so that work ethic carried over to real life, man. And now he's doing some good things and transforming other people's lives, which is beautiful to me. So I was blessed to be out there and just support him and hang out and see him in his element,
Well, it's fun the more and more I get to know him, and it's been 3 years now, and then I start to meet these other people that have had an impact on his life, and I start to think like, well, what if it wasn't for that cop? You might not have been coaching him the way. Crazy. Right. And then you helped him, and then now he's got a passion. He helped me. Right. Like, and it's like this wild, like, I can't even explain it. Like, and I could get really emotional about thinking about all those little things that happen. Like, and like, well, if just one of them didn't, I could be dead. I'd be dead. You know what I mean?
But think about what you just said. Imagine people showed up to life with that perspective. Right. And that's the perspective I want the listener or the viewer to get today is, what do you want to be known for? Like, what do you want your life to represent? Like, you have a message the world needs. And every single day, there's people placed in your path. And when we're so busy, consumed with the pressure and noise of life, we miss the meaning in the moment. What if the person listening just listened to realize, wait a second, maybe I was placed on this earth with a purpose for a purpose. And it's to give the world what you have. To do something significant, to serve people that you need. You could be the differentiator in somebody's life from living, from dying, to getting to the next level, whatever it might be. And maybe up until this podcast, right? And with Benny, maybe you felt inferior. Maybe you've been quitting on yourself. Maybe you've been questioning your calling and your purpose. Maybe you haven't felt worthy. Maybe you underestimated and downsized your most valuable asset, you. Maybe you forgot that you were placed on this earth for a purpose with a purpose. Maybe you've taken it for granted. But I believe, Benny, that ends today through this message. It's about calling. It's about legacy, about destiny. And when you help enough people get what they want in life, we've heard it before, you'll get what you want in life. And so when you live to give, like Tony Robbins says, it shifts everything in your life. And I believe there's people that tuned in just today for that message, to show up different, impact the world in their unique way, man.
That's so good. And then the other thing about the Transform Conference, we talk about police officers. Jamie Winship was there. You heard Jamie, right? And he's got, he's that police officer that like has this, crazy, awesome ability to be able to get more out of the people he's working with, get more out of criminals. I mean, like, it almost reminds me, it's like he was like the cop that helped you. You know what I mean? Like, did you know him before that conference?
No.
Never even heard of him, story, nothing, right? And then, like, wasn't that wild?
Powerful, bro.
Like, that's a whole nother, like, just, like, and then the people that Ryan Groff, like, just you and Jamie Winship, like, were two people that I never really, I didn't know anything about. I saw the promos, I saw the promos. I'm like, who are these people? And it's like, and Ryan's got like, he's got like a knack for just like having all kinds of people like that. And it's like, it's wild. It's like, and it's inspiring. And it's like the stuff that Jamie Winship is doing is unbelievable. What's next for Coach JC? Beautiful. Tell me, like, what's the next 10 years look like for Coach JC? What else haven't you accomplished? What else is your mission? Like, what's your purpose in the next 10 years?
Yeah, I mean, it's super simple, man. It's to help people win, So I'm going to continue to show up. I'm going to continue to love God and love people, and I'm going to continue to bring belief to people and, just continue to do that. And what we're doing, we added another division, which is a real estate division, to help keep people create financial freedom through, syndicating deals in commercial real estate. And so we have some big plans to make sure that there's win all day academies in any city that people need them, with the top coaches to build people, to build winners for life. And so I believe all things are possible to those who believe. And so I want to help people believe bigger. I want to help people dream bigger, and I want to help people walk out their calling and their purpose. And so we got some big things ahead, man. We're just getting started, brother. We're just getting started.
How do people, if people need more Coach JC in their life, how do they get a hold of you? How do they tell them about your podcast? What's the best way to reach out?
Yeah, CoachJC.com. That's my main site. They can go there. Obviously, Instagram, social media. Instagram's the Coach JC. I actually answer all my own Instagram, messages. People always get weird by it. They're like, "Oh man, you're really answering it," because I guess people don't do that. So if you really need me, reach out to me on Instagram. We'll have a dialogue. Any way I can serve you. Have the Win All Day podcast. But yeah, CoachJC.com is the easiest way. And so anything I can do to serve your audience, man, I'm all in, brother. So definitely.
That's awesome. There's 5 questions I ask at the end of every podcast. Imagine that you have to go to an island completely by yourself, okay? What book are you going to take with you?
I'm down. I'm definitely taking the Bible.
All right. Yeah, that's a common one.
The greatest personal development book with principles of promising.
Yeah, no, every other book's just a rip off of that, right? Like, yep, so that's good. What, let's see, book, what movie you taking with you? You get one movie to take with you.
Oh, man. One movie. That's a hard one, bro. I'd probably take Hitch, man. I like Hitch. You laugh a lot. I've watched that probably 10 times. It's on all the time. So I'd probably say I'd take Hitch for when I want to laugh.
There you go. All right, and you get one restaurant. What restaurant you putting on that? Where's Coach JC like to eat at?
Oh, if I'm on an island and I'm not worrying about my figure, and I'm not bringing protein shakes, then I'm bringing the best Italian pizza from the East Coast, bro. I got to do that. There's no doubt.
Which one?
Oh man, there's so many good ones. I don't know. Probably Mario's Pizza in Jersey. Mario's Pizza in Jersey, yeah.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah.
All right, so we did that. All right, so you get to go on one trip. You can go anywhere in the world for a week. Where are you going?
Italy.
Yeah? Have you been there before?
Never been.
Never been. Why not?
I don't know. We always go to we go to Cancun, the beaches, and but I never gone to Italy. We got to do that.
You got to get there, baby.
100%.
All right, and the last one is you can spend 24 hours with one person. Past, present, living, dead, celebrity, next door neighbor. Who you spending 24 hours with?
I would spend 24 hours with. It would be Tony Robbins. It would be if I could spend 24 hours with Tony Robbins. Obviously, you have family and you have all these people. You have my wife, and obviously, you're supposed to say the right answer. But I'm with them all. If I could spend 24 hours with Tony Robbins, I would love that.
When I was at UPW, I told Brittany, I was like, man, I said, I'm having this vision of me and you in a hot tub in Fiji with Tony and his wife, and just picking their brains and learning from and it's in my head. And I know the way to get there. The way is to pay $200,000, join the platinum, get invited to Fiji, right? I know, I know that way it can be done, but I want it to be where he invites me and says, "Hey, Big Fish, man, I see you doing some pretty cool stuff in the world, man. I want to invite you out to Fiji to my home, and I just want to hang out with you for the day."
That'd be dope, man.
Yeah, so that's cool. You ever got to spend any time with him? I know you probably talk to him every once in a while, but it's hard to get the guy's a busy guy, man. He's got goals. He's got disciplines, right? He's dialed in, right? He don't even want to leave his home, I don't think, anymore. He's like West Palm Beach. He built that crazy infrastructure during COVID to he can do all this stuff. And the guy's got a new baby. Doesn't he have a new baby or something?
Yeah.
Didn't he have
he's got a baby. Wild, man. I love that, bro. Amazing. He created the life. He created the life he wants to live, helping people, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't slow down either, bro. He doesn't slow down either. He keeps doing all the seminars. How many businesses now? I think 50 worth over $5 billion. He doesn't slow down. That's when you know it's purpose. That's when you know it's calling. He could easily retire. People are like, "Why are you doing all these seminars still?" Because he has this thing to help people. Powerful.
And the stuff that he does with health and like the stuff that we don't even know about, that we don't even have access to, the things that he talks about and like the things that he experiments with. I mean, it's mind blowing to know that the stuff's out there. The stuff's out there. Well, listen, Coach JC, I appreciate this so much. This has been a blast.
Come on,
I feel like this is just the start of a great relationship, and I'm looking forward to learning more from you. I listened to one of your podcasts the other day. I was getting ready to go give a testimony at my company, and you gave me some encouraging words, and I listened to like a 15-minute one of your talks on your podcast. And if you guys are ever needing just a shot in the arm, man, just turn on one of his podcasts. You are a blessing. You are an inspiration. You're like the real deal, man. And I appreciate you and everything that you're doing for the world.
Thanks, bro. Much love. Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate you, brother.
All right. If you guys got value out of this podcast, like, subscribe, leave a comment, man. And when you do a bunch of comments and questions for Coach JC, I'll make Coach JC go in and respond to every single comment, because we're all about giving value here at the Big Fish Cares podcast. Till next week, we'll see you again.
Thank you for listening to the Big Fish Cares podcast.